Blueprints is a roguelike, and like most roguelikes, you'll find a wide variety of items along the way to help you reach the end. Some of these items can solve most of your problems, while others do next to nothing at all. All in all, there are 59 items in Blueprints, and I thought it'd be fun to rank them all, from worst to best. Before we start, I need to lay out a few ground rules. First, I will be taking item acquisition into account. How easy or difficult it is to obtain an item does matter. Second, I won't consider how items are used in puzzles. This ranking focuses solely on item effectiveness, not player progression. Third, Curse Mode and Dare Mode are also not being considered, mainly because only a few items really improve in those game modes. And finally, this is not an objective ranking. Due to the nature of the roguelike genre, there will be a lot of personal bias stemming from experiences I had that you may not have had. So if you find an item very useful but it ended up lower than you expected, that's why. Oh yeah, there'll also be major spoilers, so if you haven't solved all the mysteries, please click off. Anyway, let's begin with Number 59, the Cursed Effigy. The Cursed Effigy is the only item in the game that actively does not help you. Obtained by smashing open the chest in the shrine, it puts you in Curse Mode, which makes the game significantly harder by penalizing you for drafting certain rooms. The Effigy will also set your step count at 13 if you have more than 13 steps, and will remove any shrine blessing you currently have. The only benefit, if you could call it that, is unlocking Curse Mode, which is needed for a trophy, but that's it. Absolutely zero reason to pick this up usually. Number 58 through 52, the Vault Keys, the File Cabinet Key, the Diary Key, the Sanctum Key, the Microchips, the Key of Ares, and the Basement Key. All of these items are used for solving puzzles and don't have much purpose outside of that. You can trade them at the trading post if you want, but that's what most of these items give outside of puzzle solving. Number 51, the Battery Pack. The Battery Pack does nothing, and it's only used to craft certain contraptions in the workshop. Not much to it really. Number 50, the Magnifying Glass. This is the same story as the puzzle keys and the battery pack, but combined, so it ends up only slightly higher than they do. Number 49, the Broken Lever. Another item used mainly in the workshop for making the Power Hammer and the Jackhammer. What sets the Broken Lever apart, however, is that it has an actual use in the greenhouse, allowing you to open the south antechamber door. Other than that, it is useless. Numbers 48 and 47 are the Burnglass and the Self-Igniting Torch. These two are puzzle items that have another use, thawing out the freezer, which gives a key and 2 gems, along with an item in the icebox. You're never going to get any use out of this unless you're actively pursuing it, but at least it's better than nothing. Number 46, the Coupon Book. The Coupon Book is probably the simplest item in the entire game. You get 1 gold back on every purchase. Fun fact, it actually doesn't do that. Instead, it subtracts 1 from whatever you're buying, and the Coupon Book giving gold is just a neat trick. No idea why it's like that, but anyways, this item's just alright on most ones. Most of the time it saves you around 10 gold if you get it early, which is certainly nice, but nothing to write home about. Kitchen benefits the most from this item, with bananas now just going for 1 each, and with the discount they were straight up free, which is really nice. Number 45, the Power Hammer. It hurts to put the goat this low because it unlocks some of the best permanent upgrades in the game, but objectively speaking, it's just a sledgehammer that requires a battery and a lever to make, which tanks it's making quite a bit. You can knock down the freezer wall with it, but there are other ways to destroy the ice that doesn't involve this item. Number 44, the Car Keys. The item you get the most but get no use out of because its only use is in the garage, which is one of the harder rooms to draft with it being unusual and can only be placed on 5 select tiles. However, if you do have the garage, the car keys can be used to open the car trunk, which has a chance to give some pretty sweet items, including a secret garden key and a treasure map. This item depends a lot on RNG to be good, but if you are lucky, it can be really helpful. Number 43, the Gear Wrench. The Gear Wrench is one of the most unique items in the entire game, allowing you to adjust the rarity of any mechanic room after you draft them, which is really good. Why is it so low, you may ask? Well, it has to do with the fact that this item is really scarce, having only 5 possible spawn locations, not including the trading post, and you usually draft mechanical rooms first, meaning when you've likely gotten this item, its use has diminished significantly. Making certain rooms easier to find and or harder to get is still really helpful, just a shame that it's such an RNG based item that basically requires code check to be beneficial. Number 42, Crown of the Blueprints. The reward for getting all the way to room 46 is rather lackluster. What it does is if you draft the red room, you can move it from the draft pool and reroll the current floor plans, as well as getting 1 gem. To be fair, any reward would have been pretty low in this ranking because you already got to the end, but if you can carry it over to the next day through something like Code Check or Moon Pendant, it can be pretty helpful. Number 41, Salt. Salt is pretty similar to the Coupon Book, where every time you consume a food item, you gain 1 additional step. The problem with this item is by the time you get any significant amount of steps from using it, you have gained at least double that amount just by eating the food. Salt just makes itself redundant, and I can't ever name a time when it actually made a difference in a run. Salt is a lot better in Curse Mode where steps are harder to retain, but as I mentioned previously, that's not being considered. Number 40, the Watering Can. Now we're moving on to the items you actually want in a run. The Watering Can is very simple. It allows you to get up to 3 gems by going to 3 different green rooms. You'll usually get this item by drafting Greenhouse because that's its easiest spawn location, and with the Greenhouse's effect, you should be able to get 3 gems fairly easily. Only downside is, depending on where your green rooms are, or how late you obtained it, it can be pretty useless. Number 39, the Wind-Up Key. I did say I was going to rank every item. The Wind-Up Key is tough to rank because, like the car keys, it's tied to a certain room, but unlike the car keys, you can actually upgrade the room it's used in, so it's useful in this varies, which is why it ended up lower than some might expect. You also need to actually win the power game for this item to do anything, and if you're like me, you probably suck at them. Number 38, the Sleeping Mask. The Sleeping Mask is one item that always just kind of existed for me. The effect is alright with it giving you 5 subs every time you enter a bedroom, but bedrooms are by far the worst rooms to draft due to most of them being a dead end, so you'll most likely be proccing this effect 2 to 3 times a day at most. And bedrooms already give you a good amount of steps as is, so Sleeping Mask doesn't really make too much of a difference. If you're a big fan of hover, it can be quite helpful, but otherwise it's just another item with a small impact. Number 37, the Lunchbox. The Lunchbox is another simple item giving steps. If you reach rank 5 while having it, you get 10 steps, and then it disappears from your inventory. The Lunchbox is a guaranteed spawn from the dining room once you get the upgrade from the Mount Holly gift shop, which is why it ends up slightly higher than some of the other step-giving resources, even if they can sometimes reduce more than the Lunchbox. Number 36, Key 8. Key 8 is the special item you obtain after completing the Gallery puzzle. Afterwards, it's always available in the Gallery. All it does is allow you to open a door in rank 8 to create Room 8, which is just a small puzzle room which always awards 1 allowance token. That's basically what Key 8 is, just a complicated way of gaining 1 allowance token. After you reach a certain point in your allowance, you really don't gain anything by raising it higher, so Key 8 is only really useful in the early game. Number 35, the Coin Purse. The Coin Purse is basically the cooler version of the coupon book. Instead of only giving you money by buying items from shops, the Coin Purse effectively gives you a passive 33% increase on all money you obtain. This obviously works best with rooms like Office and Treasure Trove, which give absurd amount of money, and with them you can usually gain 15 to 40 more gold just by having this item. Number 34, the Stopwatch. The Stopwatch is one of the more interesting items in the game because its effect is only temporary. Once you pick it up, you can't lose any steps, gems, or keys during the 1 minute duration it gives you. This item depends so much on when and where you get it, along with the time element of the item. Makes it end up pretty low, but it definitely can make a difference at the right times. Number 33, the Chronograph. The Chronograph allows you to control Z any rerolls you do, referring them to the last room shown. Which is nice, but when you reroll, good chance you rerolled so you didn't have to pick the rooms that were shown. So being able to rewind them is not very helpful. The only reason it's not lower is because it's a good trade item and the drawing room experiment in the laboratory can be really good with this item. Number 32, the Upgrade Disc. The Upgrade Disc is such a strange item to rank because how good it is depends entirely on the player and their opinions about certain rooms. There are some excellent upgrades available to you, so it's definitely not a bad item, but after a certain point, the need for upgrades diminish and it ends up being kind of useless. You also can't select which upgradable room to upgrade if you want to change a room into another room, so it's another RNG item. Number 31, Hallpass. Hallpass sounds good on paper with you being able to save a ton of gems and steps by joining hallways together, but there are 2 big problems with Hallpass. First, it's an infrequent item to get, not as hard as some other tier 4 items, but still hard enough where you can't consistently get it. And second, its effects rely a lot on RNG and your current draft pool. Hallpass requires a lot of setup with things like Royal Scepter and Pool Hall if you have that upgrade. In the right situations, this item can be really helpful, but it requires a lot of setup and RNG. Number 30, the Master Key. The Master Key is another showroom item and it's the most expensive, costing a staggering 80 gold. And for that price, you no longer ever have to worry about regular locked doors. The biggest issue with the Master Key is that it's unnecessary most of the time. You get far better value out of a locksmith, which for comparison is an easier room to draft, and you can get 19 keys with the same amount of gold, assuming there isn't a sale. The Master Key is only really helpful when locksmith isn't available or detrimental to draft. Number 29, the Silver Key. The Silver Key is a good item, allowing you to unlock a door and get a draft with a lot of exits. There's nothing really bad for it to land this low, it's just that other items are either better or more impactful on the run, and you can only use the key once before it expires. Number 28, the Moon Pendant. Bought at the showroom for 20 coins, it's one of the very few ways to carry over progress between runs. But unlike most methods, it's completely random, with the Moon Pendant randomly picking 2 items at the end of the day to carry over. This can also include the Moon Pendant itself and other items that carry over to the next day, so there's a small chance that it does absolutely nothing. This item can be good, but most of the time it carries over something like a coupon book instead of something actually helpful. Number 26, the Ornate Compass. The Ornate Compass is another showroom item bought for 50 coins and allows you to rotate rooms on your first draft. The thing is, regular compass will already influence the drafting to go north, which is where you want to go most of the time, so the Ornate Compass doesn't accomplish much on a regular run. And runs where you want to draft as many rooms as possible, it is a great way to accomplish that, but otherwise it doesn't really do a whole lot. Number 27, the running shoes. Another hard item to rank due to the randomness factor involved, but it tends to save you 1 step for every 5 steps inside and 1 step for every 2 steps outside. So generally it'd save you about 10 to 20 steps per run, which is pretty good given how common it is. Nothing else to really comment on this item, it's nothing too crazy. Number 25, the Prism Key. Another key, with this one allowing you to draft the same car room from whatever room you're drafting in. In combination with courier upgrades and certain lab experiments, it can be really helpful to have, especially with how easy it is to get. Being a guaranteed spawn from the planetarium and a lot of other rooms, having a pretty good chance of getting it. Number 24, the Dowsing Rod. This is probably the single most RNG dependent item in the entire game. Crafted by using a compass and a metal detector, the Dowsing Rod randomly picks a room during a draft and increases the luck in that room by a very large amount, which can easily get you a few items and resources. The thing is, it's completely random, and if you get lucky, it definitely can be game changing, but most of the time it'll pick a room you don't want to draft, making it useless. Number 23, Compass. Compass is another simple item with its function being in increasing the chance you'll draft a room that faces north. But that is a little misleading. A more accurate description would be, if you draft a room that could go north, it will go north, because all it does is affect the rotation of rooms, not what you actually draft, so it seems better than it actually is. The compass is still invaluable despite all that and is often picked up on a successful run. Number 22, Repellant. Repellant is a very unique item, allowing you to move a room from the draft pool for a week. It's also the only way to change where your foundation is located, which is helpful. The only problem with this item is its extreme rarity. The only way to consistently get it without messing up your foundation is the lost and found, and even then you still need to get lucky. Getting rid of annoying rooms like the Furnace, Laboratory, and Archives does help to offset the rarity drawback though. Number 21, the Lockpick Kit. The Lockpick Kit is another RNG based item that randomly lets you open a locked door without using a key. If you fail to open one door, the chances do increase, meaning you will eventually get a few free keys with this thing, provided you use it enough. You can also increase your chances through a lab experiment, but it does take a while to feel the difference. It's also easy to obtain, so you often get it when it's actually helpful. The only downside of the Lockpick Kit is you do have to remember it exists when you see a locked door. Number 20, the Keycard. The Keycard is either the savior of your run or completely useless, serving only to open locked security doors. If you're already able to bypass them, the keycard does nothing at all. Otherwise, it's fantastic, and you no longer have to draft security room and break a box to open security doors. Again, either the savior of the run or an absolute nothing burger. Number 19, the metal detector. The metal detector is another common item you will typically find in many rooms. It increases the chance of finding golden keys along with having an on-screen indicator that you're near a collectible item. You will be surprised how often the detector helps you find items, and it can usually lead to a couple more keys, which is much appreciated. It's also used in some of the best workshop contraptions. Speaking of which, number 18, the Pick Sound Amplifier. By combining the Lockpick Kit and the metal detector, the Pick Sound Amplifier simply increases your chance of successfully picking a lock. Not much to note, but if you upgrade your lock picking skills enough, it can become a guaranteed chance at picking a lock, which is phenomenal. Number 17, the Night Shield. The shield is one of the only ways to remove the negative effect from a red room, which is an extremely helpful effect, especially in more annoying rooms like Archives and Weight Room, which have some pretty devastating effects. Only downside is that you need to have the Pawn or Knight chest buffs in order to get the armory, which is where it's located. Number 16, the Shovel. The Shovel is one of the most essential items in the entire game, allowing you to dig up dirt spots across the estate and get some small rewards. The only reason why it's not higher is because the Shovel just by itself isn't anything to write home about. It's only when combined with rooms like Laboratory and Kernel where it really shines. Number 15, the Detector Shovel. Made by combining a shovel and a metal detector in the workshop, the Detector Shovel combines the two and amplifies their effects. Not much else to say about this one other than you should almost always make it if you can, because there's no reason not to. Number 14, the Lucky Rabbit's Foot. Another RNG item, the Rabbit's Foot simply increases your luck, which influences what items you can find and what a room contains. It's impossible to quantify how good this item is, so take this placement with a grain of salt. Number 13, the Emerald Bracelet. Bought for 60 coins at the showroom, the Emerald Bracelet removes all gem costs from drafting. Gems are probably the hardest thing to get high amounts of, and being low on them can sometimes end a run, unlike keys which have many alternative methods. Definitely one of the better showroom items, but still really pricey, and you're unlikely to get it until you have a high allowance or a treasure trove pile. Number 12 and 11, Morning Star and the Sledgehammer. Both these items serve the same purpose of opening trucks without needing a key, and the only difference between the two is that the Morning Star is obtained in the armory and also gives 1 star at the end of the day. How often trucks spawn is up to luck most of the time, but they can contain some really good rewards, and just 2 trunks can be a major game changer most of the time. These 2 are always really nice to have on hand. Number 10, the Treasure Map. The Treasure Map is a pretty strange item. Once you pick it up, it selects a spot on the map and makes it so you can dig there, giving you either 8 gems, 40 gold, or 25 gold and 3 gems. All of these rewards are good, and for the amount of effort needed to use the map, it makes the treasure map very nice to pick up on any run. Only downside is you need a shovel for it to do anything. Number 9, the Silver Spoon. The Silver Spoon is the last showroom item on the list, costing 30 gold. All the Silver Spoon does is double any steps gained, so this item more or less solves any step issue, especially when combined with rooms like Kitchen and Secret Garden. Only downside is that other step items can usually make up the slack when it comes to steps, but there will be times when the Silver Spoon is preferred. Number 8, the Electromagnet. The Electromagnet is a workshop item made by using the compass and the battery pack, and it has the simple effect of collecting golden keys in whatever room you're in, which saves a lot of clicking. It also makes mechanical rooms easier to draft. Now, those 2 effects may not seem like enough to put it as high, but the Electromagnet has a special hidden interaction with Locksmith. Whenever you enter the Locksmith with the Electromagnet, you collect all the keys from the back wall, which usually amounts to about 25 keys, which solves all your key problems for a run. Electromagnet is by far the easiest way to solve a key problem in a run when combined with Locksmith, and is why it's ranked so high. Number 7, the Paper Crown. A special item attained by solving the puzzle in the close exhibit, the Paper Crown gives a free reroll whenever you don't draft the red room in your initial draft. This will usually equate to a free reroll most of the time because red rooms are pretty good to draft early, and the more you draft, the more likely it is to get a reroll. When combined with the Shelter and the Shield, you can get what essentially equates to a free ivory die with every draft, which is by far the best reroll method when rooms like Study and Classroom are out of the equation. Number 6, the Secret Garden Key. The Secret Garden Key allows you to get one of the best rooms in the entire game, the Secret Garden, which spreads food all around the house, and will usually solve your step problem, and the Secret Garden also allows you to open the east and west anti-chamber doors, which can be quite tricky to do normally. It's also a green room, so in combination with Veranda, you will often get an item or 2, which is just great. Only downside is you need to be in the east or west wing to be able to draft the room, but that's only a small downside in a list full of great upsides. Number 5, the Jackhammer. The Jackhammer is made by combining a shovel, broken lever, and a battery pack. In reward for all the effort, is easily one of the best ways to get gems in the entire game. The Jackhammer makes every dig spot's loot table far better, with the most common reward being gems. With just a few dig spots, you can net around 8 gems, which is enough to get by for a while. In combination with dirt spot synergy rooms like Root Cellar, you can get a ridiculous amount of gems. The Jackhammer also allows you to dig up another wind-up key for the power. It's just a shame that I still suck at the power game. Number 4, the Royal Scepter. First unlocked by doing one of the game's hardest puzzles, the Royal Scepter becomes attainable every time you enter the treasure room. The Royal Scepter functions the exact same as the Blessing of the King, where you select the room type and then that room type becomes more likely to appear for the rest of the day. But you can also carry over the Royal Scepter by ending the day in the same room type you picked, which makes this item extremely easy to get the max effect of. The Royal Scepter enables so many strategies with rooms like Veranda and Nursery that makes one significantly easier. Treasure room is almost always a room you're drafting, so getting a free chest piece buff alongside it is just amazing. Number 3, the Telescope. The Telescope is another pretty rare item, with its most usual spawn being in the Ladyship's Chamber, which is a pretty hard room to draft. What the Telescope does is allow you to use Observatory one more time, which is already pretty good, but when combined with the Chamber of Mirrors and its additional Observatory floor plans, you can potentially get up to 8 star viewings in a single day, which can lead to some absurd things, mainly apples giving you a ton of steps. Even without Chamber of Mirrors, the Telescope's still pretty good if you had high starlight. Number 2, the Lucky Purse. The final workshop contraption made by fusing the coin purse and the Lucky Rabbit's Foot. The Lucky Pouch doubles any gold you find and still keeps the luck bonus from the Rabbit's Foot, making this another straight upgrade contraption. I shouldn't need to explain why double gold is good, but in combination with rooms like Freezer and Laundromat, you can get some ridiculous gem and key counts. If you get Lucky Rabbit's Foot on a run, it's a good idea to not pick up any gold just in case you get coin purse so you can fuse the 2 and break the game. Anyways, last but certainly not least, number 1, the Axe. You probably guessed this was number 1 the second you clicked on this video. The Axe lets you permanently get rid of the gem cost for up to 3 rooms, which is absolutely insane. Some standard rooms for this effect are definitely Trophy Room and commonly drafted rooms like Security and Aquarium, It depends a lot on your playstyle, but so many rooms gain great value from the axe and it's just superb. And that concludes this ranking. If you enjoyed what you watched, please consider subscribing, it does help a lot. This was by far the hardest video I had to make because I was unsure where most items would end up most of the time. I'm expecting a lot of people to disagree with this list, and if you do, please consider leaving a comment explaining why because I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching.